Good evening, everybody. It's 6:00 p.m. We'll call to order a regular meeting of the Board of Education. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sue, do we have any recent additions or deletions to the agenda? No. Okay. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of both the March 12th regular Board of Education meeting and the March 26th special board meeting? Motion. Mel, second. Jackie? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into executive session to discuss matters relating to the employment of a particular individual. Jenny, thank you. Mike, second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, up next we have a presentation from the athletic director, Ms. Jen Murphy, on the winter sports program.
Are we on? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening to talk about our winter sports review. I'm a little under the weather. I apologize. My voice is a little deep tonight, but I'll do my best. I know you received my presentation, but I just wanted to quickly remind you that our winter sports article did come out. I wanted to thank Ms. Conti and the communications office for helping put that together, as well as our coaches with their input with data to share with our community. So there are more specific details available for you within that article, including some pretty amazing pictures from this winter season. So thank you to Ms. Conti for her expertise behind the camera as well. I wanted to just quickly, again, thank our coaches for everything that they did with our student athletes this winter, thank our families for their support, our faculty, our staff, our administrative team, and our Board of Education for their support throughout the season. I know it feels a little bit delayed. There's been quite a bit going on. With spring sports actually in full season, we had, I believe, 5 home events just today going on, so very busy. So thank you for the time again to talk about winter sports. We did have 201 student athletes participate this winter season, modified JV and varsity. Just like last year, we offered 6 sports and we had a total of 17 teams. So again, a very busy season. This photo specifically, I wanted to give a shout out to our sophomore student athlete, Jaden Acom, 10th grader. This is from day 1 of the wrestling state championships over at MVP Arena, just down the road in Albany. If you ever get a chance to attend this event, it is a magical event. NISFA does an amazing job putting together this event, and to see all the student athletes representing each section from New York is really special. So if you can see in this photo quickly, Jaden is wearing maroon because at the state championships, the wrestlers day 1 participate in their section colors. So you don't see the RCS wrestling uniform, but you do see section 2. So it's a little bit different, but it's pretty special to see all the kids lined up by color, by section. Moving into wrestling, our team was the Colonial Council League champion again this year, same as last year. A good number, 13 student athletes qualified for sectionals. Such a team effort, such a huge amount of students participate in wrestling. Our coaches just really thrive in the environment. Our students really gravitate towards the coaches. They're a really special group. I really enjoy watching wrestling. It's such a special sport, so I'm just happy to be involved with it. So again, just highlighting Jaden as a sophomore. It's really special as a 10th grader to be able to make it to that state championship level. Specifically, the 2nd year in a row for Jaden. And I also wanted to shout out Mr. Shapano, made sure I knew that we had not had an athlete at the state championship tournament make it to the 2nd day since 2013. So really tremendous accomplishment for such a young man. Super great kid, just very dedicated to his sport, to his team. So that was really special to see him compete. too many athlete names to list for All-Stars, which is a good thing. But I just wanted to give a quick shout out. Again, these are in the article listed for everyone, but our first team, Colonial Council All-Stars, Aiden Daly, Jaden Acom, Aiden Forster, and Kellen Holtailing. Second team in honorable mention for RCS, Carter Castagna, Brock Larson, Aiden Miner, Donovan Tabor, Ethan Green, as well as Owen Green. And we had 7 seniors on that team this winter. Next is boys varsity basketball. This team faced a lot of adversity this winter, I would say. They worked really hard. They stuck through it. They ended up finishing out the season with 5 wins. Just a quick shout out to our offensive leaders, our defensive leaders. We thought it was special to include those students because they're not always recognized on the all-star list, but they have worked very, very hard throughout the season and did contribute to the team in many different ways. Our Colonial Council All-Stars, third team recognition was JT Foy, and honorable mention Mason Karkner and Austin Burns. We had 2 seniors on the team this year. They did travel to Ichabod Crane for the first round of sectionals, played a tremendous game, and lost the game 57-54. So their athletic director was texting me all throughout that game as it was at their place, so it was very competitive right to the end. So great season for boys. Girls varsity basketball, again, I'm very proud of this team. They definitely increased and improved from last year. Just specifically, the coaches let me know not only did they improve their overall record, but they also improved their statistics, whether it was their 2 or 3 point field goals as well as free throws. So I think that's important to have that data there for the students to show that they have improved from the previous year. They were also seeded high enough in postseason to host the first round sectional games, which is difficult to do, so they were able to do that. Again, another tough fought game. They lost the game 47-41, but very close, and they worked very hard throughout the season. All-stars for honorable mention were Hayden Wolf and Ray Napierski, younger students on the team, so we do have a bright future with girls varsity basketball, and 3 seniors. Boys varsity swimming and diving. This was our, as you know, our first season is combined with RCS Greenville. We did want to give a shout out and welcome to the Guntert family who joined us from Greenville, Ashton in 10th grade and Blake in 8th grade. They were each on the varsity and the modified team. So we were very pleased to welcome them to RCS. The kids did an amazing job making them feel welcome. It was a really tremendous season. Again, the team finished second in Division II at Section 2 championships. And I did want to highlight Justin Sulik as he was recognized as a Section 2 champion in both the 200 individual medley and the 100 breaststroke. Again, a team effort, but just highlighting that he was also qualifying to go to the state championship meet this winter in March, and he placed 29th in the state in breaststroke. He was able to attend that event. NISFA puts that event on at Ithaca College, which has a tremendous aquatics facility, so just a very special moment for Justin, and we are very proud of him with all of his accomplishments. Section 2 Division II All-Stars were Sam Rosen and Justin Sulik. And I do apologize for the typo, but there were 3 seniors on the swimming and diving team. I will make that correction. Girls varsity cheer. They participated in 2 competitions this winter season at Saratoga and Niskayuna Union High Schools, and we're looking to build on that in the future. They also obviously supported our basketball teams, both boys and girls varsity, which is a 20-game season, obviously 10 home games for boys and girls each. So they made sure they were loud and proud supporting our students at those events. They're also trying to think outside the box and try some new events. So not only this past summer, they had a cheer camp for younger students, but this winter they also had their first cheer expo event where they perform their competition routine that they obviously work very hard on throughout the winter for their cheer families as well as community members. And that event also included other skills challenges or really fun activities for the younger students to participate in. So I'm very proud of this group. And they still continue to practice in the off-season. They're actually preparing for our winter/spring sports pep rally, which is coming up this Friday. Spirit Week here at the high school, so it's very busy here. And we had one senior student. Girls varsity bowling, a young and up-and-coming group, but they're really achieving some great things. They had a very competitive schedule, 8-5 overall this season, placed second at the Rotterdam Invitational. We always start our winter season with that event, and the kids really love going to that. They placed fourth at Class B in the sectional tournament. Again, for a very young team, super impressive. We had students recognized for All-Stars, first team, Kaylee Burnham, second team. And both of these young ladies are eighth graders, Mackenzie Eagleston and Sydney Burnham. And no students on the team this year. Boys varsity bowling. They were led by seniors John Canizaro and Cameron Stanton. It's a really nice group of leaders, great group of students. 2 middle schoolers on this roster as well, so we have young athletes up and coming. Again, a very rigorous schedule. It's very demanding to be on the bowling team, constantly on the bus, traveling back and forth to different lanes. The kids work really hard. It's hard to stay organized. 14 regular matches, the invitational, championships, sectionals. The kids did really well, gave their best effort. And John Canizaro, one of our seniors, was recognized as a Colonial Council second team All-Star. Boys and girls indoor track and field. This team continued to grow in numbers again this winter, so we had 30 students on the team, an increase from last year. They had 5 league meets, Colonial Council championships, as well as sectionals. I did want to highlight 2 school records that were broken this winter season. Katie McFerrin broke the RCS triple jump record with 33 feet, 11.75 inches. Very impressive. Mason Brzezowski broke the 800-meter record with 2 minutes and 6.3 seconds. 800 meters is about 2 laps on the track. So thinking about how fast that is, it's crazy. So congratulations to both of those athletes. We love watching them compete. And we had 7 seniors on the indoor track team this winter. We always like to recognize our scholar athlete teams every season. For winter, the following teams were recognized: RCSG varsity boys swimming and diving, the varsity indoor track and field team, girls varsity bowling team, and the girls varsity basketball team. So again, this is 75% or more of the roster has a 90 or above combined average to qualify as a team. And the students that had a 90 or above average for quarter 2, they are an individual scholar athlete and receive the NISFA scholar athlete pin. Just a few goals and updates looking to 25-26. I wanted to cover just a few topics that we've been working on in the athletics office and with our PE staff. I know Jean mentioned this already in her budget presentations. We have proposed the unified bowling team for next school year for 25-26. This is a collaborative effort between our special education students as athletes and our general education students as partners. So our partners would be supporting our special education students so they can find success within the athletic realm. So unified bowling, it's still recognized by NISFA by Section 2. They're official varsity sports and they're treated as such. So the athletes will receive all the same recognition. So we're hoping for this opportunity. I've never added a sports team before at a school, so this is first for me. So I'm learning a lot along the way, reaching out to different colleagues who have implemented unified programs at their schools. The season, I know Jean mentioned, it's sort of sandwiched in between seasons, so this would be next school year, mid-February to mid-March. Busy time, but we'll make sure we get that organized. We hope to do that. Next is Unified Physical Education. This is an approved high school PE course, and it has been for a little bit now. We're continuing to build capacity with this class and get students registered next year for 25-26. One strategy that we have tried this spring specifically is and it's the same model for Unified. You have your general education with your special education students. So this is in a physical education classroom. So this would be, for example, our adapted PE classes, which are offered ninth period, and Ms. Shortell teaches them here at the high school this year. We have welcomed and recommended students. Our high school PE staff has recommended students that would be a good fit, our general education students to work with our adapted students, maybe students that are looking to work in social services or teaching or things like that. We've tapped those students that already have that established ninth period sort of in their schedule where they could work. So whether they have a high school gen ed PE class with Mr. Peters that ninth period, they have been pushing into adapted instead. And we've also looked at students that have study halls at that time, if they have time to come down and join the classes, which we've had a handful of students be able to do that. Some students have been coming every single day, really loving it, really thriving in it. I was able to see Ms. Shortell's Unified PE class the other day. We have students supporting each other in the weight room, spotting each other with different exercises. It's been really great. So that's working out. So we're using that strategy to kind of build capacity to get students interested, spread the word, developing relationships. You know, students that may not have known each other in the past are now saying hi to each other in the cafeteria or in the hallways. So it's really special. It's going well. So we're just hoping to continue to push that through to get more students registered in Unified PE for next school year. So I wanted to thank our principals that have been helping, Jean and Dr. Bailey, with getting ideas going, our high school PE teachers, everyone that's kind of been spreading the word with that. Just wanted to touch again on mergers for girls and boys swimming and diving. As you know, we have the girls swimming and diving proposal for tonight on the agenda. Again, I just wanted to thank Greenville AD Denise Wickham over at Greenville and her partnership. It was the first time both of us had done a merge program application, and we just really didn't know what went along with the process. So thank you for your support for boys for this past winter, and we are looking to obviously do that again for the opportunities for our students both here at RCS and Greenville for the fall for girls varsity swimming and diving. As you can see, we have the sample logo that we put together for swimming and diving. Coach Carney actually put together the initial proposal, I guess you want to say, for the logo to try to incorporate the Greenville students, making sure they felt welcome with apparel and how we advertise for the students. I know we put a lot of this out on our aquatics Facebook page. And our communication specialists, both Michelle Conti and the communication specialists at Greenville, worked together to kind of tighten it up a little bit, jazz it up a little bit, and that's what they came up with. So some of the students were able to get sweatshirts and things like that to represent both schools and the team. So that was really nice.
At a play in Bethlehem, a student was wearing that sweatshirt with that. It was nice.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Coach K gave me a shirt as well, so I was able to wear a little swag to the meet. So it was just a really great winter season. We learned a lot together, and we're looking forward to this partnership, continued partnership in the future. I will also mention that the same application that we put together for RCS for the merger with Greenville for girls swimming and diving, we also just received the final approval and signatures from the Greenville School District as well, so they are in support. Quick update about girls flag football. We obviously have had some youth interest in this activity. We've had youth groups using our facilities in the past. It was brought to my attention we still have some community and student interest with this up-and-coming sport, specifically in Section 2, as you probably heard some about it. It's really kind of taking off. I wanted to thank Coach Bill Brzezowski for coming in to meet with me to talk through some of his ideas that he had around the sport and some ideas about maybe pursuing this in the future at RCS. Some action steps we're looking to do is or continue to do, or ongoing, to incorporate flag football within our PE curriculum. Starting early with our elementary students, football is typically taught already in the middle school and high school PE curriculums, but more specifically flag and those specific rules that go along with that activity. We're also looking to incorporate it into our intramural program. So after school, those are the extra physical activity time that our students have. Right now, we offer things, for example, like volleyball club during intramural time. So we're looking to kind of adapt that on another day, more specifically geared towards flag football to try to build interest and kind of get the word out for the sport. We're also looking at other districts. I know I'm personally reaching out to other athletic directors that have incorporated girls flag football as a spring sport at their schools. Also researching how would that impact our current spring sports programs. I know specifically for softball, some people think that may be a competitive activity and we still want to have robust softball programs. So those are all things we're sort of taking into consideration while we look at what does it mean to maybe add another team in the spring season for our female athletes, and how has that impacted other schools, other programs in the area. So I just continue to ask questions, reach out to colleagues, and try to see what our next action steps are. So it is on our radar, and we're just going to keep you posted with any progress as we utilize our PE and intramural time and in those ideas. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on our athletic code of conduct, our review committee, just an update of the work that has been done around this topic. I wanted to thank everyone that has participated so far on our committee, including myself, our district administrators, teachers, parents, coaches, Board of Education members. So thank you for your time doing this work. We have not had a review of this work as far as the data involved in examining our code of conduct since it was updated in 2023. We've had 2 meetings so far, so I appreciate the committee's time. The committee evaluated and looked at different internal processes, specifically involving school discipline incidents and attendance and how that impacts students on athletic teams, academic eligibility, as well as students leaving or not completing or quitting a sports season or their sports team. So those were sort of our specific targeted areas that we looked at. Looking at the data around those items, we've never collected all that data before, so that was very helpful for me to kind of put that together and how we wanted to have it organized and presented it to the committee where it made sense and it was quick and easy for everyone to understand. Just helpful I think it was helpful for all of us to help spell out and organize our processes. We have the athletic code of conduct, but not every single step is necessarily specified with how we move forward with, supporting our students in these certain situations. Our third and I think final committee meeting will be Thursday, April 24th. So the meeting invitations went out, as well as one process we wanted to look at and more finalize, streamline a little bit better, was the students quitting or leaving a team. So we do have a draft document that was put together that was sent out to the coaches for their feedback. We hope to get their feedback, any changes or edits or suggestions before our next committee meeting that's coming up. That went to the draft also went out to the committee as well for their review. I learned a great deal from this process. Just reaching out to other schools, it really doesn't seem like they are doing an annual review of their athletic code of conduct or their data. So I think we're pretty innovative with what we're doing, and it's really important because all of these decisions impact student athletes. And we just want them to have the best opportunities and best experiences. And I think all of the folks and the stakeholders that were involved were there to best support our students. So again, I'm thankful for the time. I'm thankful for the Section 2 and Colonial Council colleagues and my mentors that I've spent a great deal of time reaching out to about this to try to understand what has worked and suggestions for moving forward with this. So I'm sorry to be a little long-winded, but I appreciate your time. And just wondering if anyone has any questions.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, we have a hearing and petition request, which we'll hear now from Ms. Lori White-Ash. I'll just remind you that public comments are limited to 3 minutes in length, and please refrain from any comments pertaining to particular individuals or personnel matters. Welcome. Feel free to come right up to the podium, to the microphone.
I would like to thank the board for allowing me the opportunity to explain my position and actions, which led to my receiving the memos of council and ultimately Mr. Bailey asking the board for my termination. Is that wrong?
Fine line there, right? So just to give you some guidance, anything pertaining to policy, process, things of a general nature like that, you can certainly talk about. I would ask that you refrain from any self-identifying information or anything relating to a personnel action by the district.
Okay. I apologize.
No problem.
My name is Lori Whiteash, and I was hired at the RCS Middle School as a building aide on December 14th, 2023. I was then offered a promotion because I took my test, my TA test, and passed, to a teacher's aide assistant on April 3rd, but I declined the position so that I could stay with the one-on-one that I was with and we didn't have to interrupt any of the scheduling. It meant more money, but I declined it. I started officially as a TA during the extended school year program with Mr. King as he desperately needed help.
Refrain from any
Sorry.
individuals.
I apologize. I read the district's mission statement, provide a safe and supportive learning environment in which we are valued and challenged to become responsible members of a global society. Your vision statement, where passion inspires and individuals succeed, and the 5 pillars of the district's values: integrity, collaboration, risk-taking, participation, empathy, and community. I can say with confidence that I tried daily to uphold all these ideals. I passionately challenged the students under my care to do their best. I practiced in the classrooms and appropriate and collaborated with teachers with whom I worked. I know my gifts. My passion is genuine, and I've been told infectious. I feel all of my positive attributes and contributions were overlooked or at best not appreciated. However, never once did I receive reward or praise this year from the middle school administration. Instead, I felt like there was a target on my back almost every day. Rather than first being pulled aside and asked to do things differently, the administration first course of
Could I just
action.
interrupt? You're heading down a path here relating to personnel matters, Lori, and we're also at 3 minutes.
Okay.
So if you could please just wrap up your final thoughts.
I would like the board to please look through the folders that I provided for every board member that has all of my proof to this being false information and me being terminated just for discrimination.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Okay, business considerations. We have 6:1 through 6:15. Is there a motion for one or more? Motion for all. Jenny? Second. Dan? Any discussion?
On 6/15, are those dates correct? That's for 2024, 2025.
It was missed in the fall. Oh, that's what,
Yes.
gotcha. Yeah, good question, Ed.
7. Maybe I understood our conversation the last time wrong. I thought we were trying to have more than one meeting in October and November. Did I have that backwards? Just five weeks with only one meeting seems like it's right at the beginning of the school year. Seems like it might not be enough. But
The conversation kind of went in both directions.
I was very confused at the end of that conversation, I think.
I think we left it because there's 2 in August and 2 in September.
And then in October is also the statewide conference.
Statewide conference. November, I think we identified as a potential issue because of the holiday
Right.
period there, as well as December. So I think that part of the discussion there was August and September are usually heavy with personnel considerations. So we have 2 meetings in those
Okay.
months, which will get us where we need to be. And I
Okay.
believe we're good with October, November, and December
Okay,
being
I must
one.
have had the conversation backwards. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we went in a lot of circles in
Okay.
that conversation, so.
When I
was
looked
part of
at
the
it,
conversation.
I
It
was
was.
very confused. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And if an issue comes up, we can always add a special.
And that was the other
meeting.
point, right?
Okay.
We
So
always
if
call a
something
special
came up
meeting.
and we really needed to.
Right.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have personnel considerations 7-1 through 7-19. Is there a motion for one or more?
The motion for all.
Motion for all. Second, Jackie. Just one thing I'd like to mention, we have an appointment on the agenda this evening for Mr. Jeffrey Artist as the assistant principal in the high school. Well, welcome. We're very happy to have you here. Does anybody have anything else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And next we'll turn to Dr. Bailey.
We had our discussion around building security. Jesse gave a more detailed explanation of the equipment that was being installed as part of that. There were some outstanding questions. One of them was the emergency buttons that will be placed in public locations. Will they be able to, as well as trigger the lockdown over the PA and lock the doors, they will also be calling out to 911. So they will call out to first responders. The ones that are in the office right now currently do not, but all of our upgrades to our system will allow for the one pull box in the office and the new ones that are being installed to call out to first responders. Bill said that the door ajar sensors are expected to be on all exterior doors in our buildings. So it's not picking and choosing which ones, but all of them. And as far as the blue lights, the idea was to have them definitively where the high traffic areas are, fronts of the buildings, playground ends of the buildings where we know that there's a lot of traffic. He wasn't as clear around like whether an obscure entrance, like at the back of the building, would have the light or not, but he was going to check into that. The whole purpose is, again, is so if members of the public or staff who are traveling or staff who are outside, what we decided is all the staff who are outside have a radio. So in the event of an emergency, they would be notified by that. Correct. But the idea is that people who are visiting the building who may not be part of the facility or organization can see the light is blinking. There'll be a sign that says, if this light is on, that means that we're in a practice drill or we can't open the door right now or whatever the right thing is. But the idea is for people who don't know our facility, when the doors are locked down, that means that everybody's badges don't work. So there's no one that will be walking in by accident to something like a medical emergency or something like that. But that's where the blue lights, and I think Bill is going to check specifically where they're going to be. Can you think of any other questions you had about the security installs?
Discussing it with Jesse, a bunch of concerns came up, not concerns, questions came up from teachers at the high school BLT meeting today. So I'm assuming probably there's some staff at other buildings. And they came up with a great idea to make a form or something so that Bill can just make a FAQ sheet or something so that all the one-offs and things like that could be addressed. So just wanted to give you a heads up that probably, if high school mentioned it, it might be a good thing for all 4 buildings to have.
To prime the pump, we had meetings with all of the union leadership in all the buildings to just talk through, this is what we were thinking, and we used their questions to do an initial frequently asked questions document. But, there's 425 of us, there's going to be a lot
And
more
there's unique
questions.
situations too, and,
Right.
there's
I have this
things that are
student
going
who
to
has this
happen.
need, and, I'm
Right,
moving
or
it
there's a
quickly.
door between these 2 classrooms that nobody else would need to know about, but, those kinds of things. So one-offs and whatever.
We recognize that, as far as, we see, like here on this door, they're in a lot of the doors, but because of, some will need to have the doors themselves replaced or the hardware isn't the right hardware yet. It's not on all doors. But our plan was to phase in after the vacation to have, be able to activate these. And then people have time to this is working right, or this isn't working right, or it doesn't work on my schedule, or it doesn't work with my students. So we are going to be able to collect data
More
from that
data.
once it goes into practice.
Can I ask, I know that you talked about this and I apologize, but for clarification, the odd doors like the libraries and things, that is already included in the project that we're already doing, or is that additional? That's what
the
we're
next one.
approving with this budget?
With this, yeah, this capital project proposal that's going to be on the same day as the budget vote, that security and safety will include those odd doors, the
Those odd-
double
okay.
doors and some of the other ones that is not included in the current $15 million project that we're
Okay,
doing.
that's what I thought, and that's what I told them, but I wanted to make sure that I was correct.
Yep,
Yep,
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Jean shared a student ex officio document with the board for your feedback. It's complex. We have had some discussion at the board level about what we think our priorities are. We've been working on the policy, draft policy, and the policy committee. And I think, we're probably 70%. We were just having a discussion beforehand, what grade levels do we want to focus on? Right now, I think the document says juniors and seniors, and the real reason why I think we started with that is that the developmental age, the competency of the kiddos, the ability to dedicate and wisdom around it, not that there aren't exceptions to that, but there's nothing in there that's hard and fast that, that can't be adjusted. So, we're open to discussion now if you had a chance to read it. If not, Jean gave everyone commenting rights, so you're welcome to jot your thoughts in there. And the benefit of that is and we come back and we would talk about it at our next meeting, but the benefit of it is you can start to see other people's thoughts as it's developing. And then we would bring those back here and we could have a solid discussion around it. So does anybody have anything that jumped out right now?
Only thing is if we're gonna have two alternates, I would love to see a sophomore. I mean, obviously freshmen are just coming in, they won't have the ability to vote prior, so assuming it would be a sophomore, at least a sophomore could give voice to underclassmen, and then somebody from the upper classes could give voice. I think it would be beneficial to have one from each group of students just to more broadly represent the experience of both underclassmen and upperclassmen. Yes.
10 and
I-
12 or 10, 11, and 12?
I would say 10, 11, 12, well, this year's freshman, sophomore, and junior would vote, right, for next year, so I would say 10, 11, 12
Gotcha.
would be my preference. Let's not put that pressure on a ninth grader.
No, probably
No, they have to have at least 1 year.
Yeah.
right? Speaking with Ryan today, he has a plan for how to have the students be able to vote on those folks. And we were talking around equity around that too, because every student who's interested needs to have a platform to be able to address and speak on that. So there's a whole other end. The board is working on what the criteria will be for once they're here, and the high school is working on the end of how do we get them to here, because there's some nuances around that.
Will the high school be able to accomplish that by June? Is that the intention?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My concern, I don't know if anyone looked at it, I put my comments in
Your mic's off again.
there. I don't know, I always do that. I did put my comments in there, I don't know if anyone, so Matt actually, one of the concerns he has is the first reading of that policy tonight, so it may be premature because anything changes that made are going to have to match that policy. But the intent of, my concerns was the intent of letting the students choose. My comments were in there where it seems like a committee was being proposed where students would put their name in, teachers, faculty, then they would decide on who gets to go forward, and I didn't think that was our intent. I thought our intent was to any student who was academically eligible, met those qualifications, would be able to go forth and the students would be able to vote on them. It seems like there's a step in between where parents and everything, a committee is then deciding what students get to go on and go vote. So is that our intent?
Not what I would prefer.
That was not what I thought either. So besides reviewing, the students that apply to make sure that they're academically eligible,
Yeah.
I don't see why we're having a committee of parents and everything, then weeding through them and determining which can go forth to be elected on or not. I think
Can I just also propose that there be not only academically viable, but attendance viable?
Well, eligible is what I meant by that.
Okay.
Yes, as
I
far
just would
as,
like
you
that
know,
we look at attendance as well as
if
academics.
whatever the criteria are, is if a student comes in academically and attendance, that we don't then have other people deciding, well, this one's going to go forward for the vote and this one's not. I don't think that was our intent.
No.
So I wanted to make that suggestion clear. As far as the VOCE's district superintendent informed me that they're actually putting together and working on a training class for the student board members.
Oh, good.
So that can be facilitated by the board and through them, hopefully, before the start. So yeah, that's a good thing to know. But I guess just before you form a committee and get parents and all these things in here, I don't think that was our intent, so.
Yeah, this really was just to kind of capture some of the things that we discussed.
Right.
And some research that I did on how other schools have organized it. I would ask the question when the board takes a look at this. So it doesn't necessarily have to be selection criteria, but some of the school districts highlighted, like, what are the aspects of a student leader? And then I put that into a rubric. But if we could use that to help kids understand what this role entails.
Oh,
and if you want to take a look at those criteria, just to say, take that off. I don't want it to be overwhelming for kids, but at the same time, to have an idea
For
of,
them to take it seriously and say, not just be,
yeah.
flippant about it, yeah.
And then written into that policy and into the stuff too, that the board will appoint a member or a volunteer member to the student member, who they will be able to sit next to at the board meeting, and that they can correspond with directly with a board member if they have any questions in regards to meeting material. They should be corresponding with the board and not necessarily with the administration. Not that it's not an open pathway, but that they'll be assigned a member of the board to correspond with. And the follow-up can be then with whoever the board and vice president as well. They should have an open avenue of communication. Anybody else have any?
You're saying you want the board to appoint someone to be their quote-unquote
A
mentor?
mentor, like someone will hopefully volunteer, and that way the student can sit next to them, and you can help them during meetings and with any questions they have. Or I think that would be a good thing to do.
Yes, I agree.
Else?
No, those were my points, yep.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. I have a couple of updates. One, our pre-K registration, air quotes, closes tomorrow. So that's the date that we use. By the end of the day, if we don't have our sections full, everyone who has applied will be in, and then anyone who applies afterward just gets added to the list until we get to a waiting list if it comes to that. So you can always continue to register. At this point, at the end of the day today, we had 28 registrants at A.W. Becker and 32 for the Peter B. catchment area. So there's still room, but I won't know until the end of the day tomorrow if we will have a lottery or need to have a lottery the week we return from break on the 24th. I do want to encourage families, if they're watching, if you do have pre-K students and kindergarten students, to please register now. It's helpful because that will get you into a schedule for a screening, which is required if you haven't been to school with us. And those screening dates are at the elementary schools, and those will be shared with families once we get confirmed lists. Where we advertise, it is on our website. Michelle Conti has been pushing out information on our social media weekly.
The signs outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
And the PTO is also sharing.
There's a little bit of,
It's a little,
it's a, you just
little
put a
tech.
written note out there.
I just wanted to highlight some of the things that have been happening around academics back in March. We had a Youth Art Month Summit. They did this last year. The elementary and high school art teachers bring the art clubs together for an event at the high school. It's student-led, so the high school students in the art club facilitate stations for the younger students, and it's really, really fun to see them in a leadership role. And it takes a tremendous amount of organization on behalf of the teachers, and then they let the kids go. So it really, it was great to see. And one of the stations was working collaboratively on a bigger art piece that they put together. We had an author visit at both of the elementaries. Dan Mahoney is a local author. I got in to see him. He interacted really well with the kids. They were excited to have an adult, a real author visit. We had last week half-day professional learning day, tried to balance that with a few wellness events for staff members and some professional learning. We had Alyssa Sabatino, who has been a consultant that we're working with around restorative and trauma-informed practices, came back and worked with teachers. She'll be coming hopefully back next year if we can contract with her to continue some of that work at a more differentiated level and have her spend some more time working with our support staff as well. And then finally, upcoming, and you have a copy of it at your table. So the folks in the Student Support Office, so Colleen and Kate and Tim, have worked very hard. They did this is the second annual Community Resource Fair. So they have, I think they're up to 18 vendors of local organizational groups that will be here in the library for families to come, and it's very informal. The tables are set up. They come, they get information, there's some snacks, and it's a great way to connect not only with the organizations and the resources, but also with other families. So I highly encourage you to come and see that if you have the time. And most exciting stuff. So we had a Board of Ed C&I meeting back on March 13th. The upcoming one is tomorrow afternoon. We are implementing, we're adopting iReady Classroom Mathematics for K-5 for the 25-26 school year. I put a copy of the draft implementation plan in front of you. We walked through this at the last meeting, trying to capture what teachers need, what administrators need, communication with the board, communication with the community. So it's mapped out for the year. One of the things I wanted to get feedback from the board on, and we talked a little bit about it at the meeting, was one of the ways that we want to ensure that we have high-quality implementation and support for teachers is to have as much training as we can. So looking at this calendar, one of the solutions that we came up with to have an introductory training, the materials can be in teachers' hands. June 5th was originally scheduled K-5 half-day for class placements. I am proposing that, and Jesse's working on the numbers to make sure that we can do it hours-wise, days-wise for state aid funding. I'm proposing we make that a full day, pre-K-5, where students don't come to school. So teachers still have half a day to do class placement and then half a day for initial training for the curriculum.
My only question is, how is it working out for timing? Like, you said Jesse was working on it.
He's working on it like numbers-wise. Of what I had said when I proposed this to the committee and to the principals, based on feedback from teachers, because our original plan wasn't going to work. I said one of the implications of this, so because we didn't use all of our snow days, students will end up, at some point we'll determine when the student's last day is. And what this could mean, depending on the minutes, is that the 6-8 students might end school a half day earlier than the K-5 students. So, and the feedback from the teachers was like, it's happened before.
Yeah.
We didn't have power at one school,
mean,
so.
Peter B is let out because of water main break and stuff, so.
I just wanted to make sure that we had enough time to get communication out, update the calendar, let families know, just so that they can plan for childcare.
So when do you think you'll be officially making?
As soon as you give me the nod that that's an okay thing to do.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Okay.
As long as Jesse says we're good, I think, go for it.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
The other exciting piece about this is Ready Classroom has a curriculum, which we're adopting. It also has a very robust diagnostic assessment. So we are also going to be implementing that for math. And we've been in discussions about what that would look like for reading and at the middle school level. Right now, Our decision is to move to the diagnostic K-5 math, which means that we will not be doing FastBridge. So it's, a similar type of assessment, far more robust, gives us way better data, much more actionable information for teachers to use for both in-class Tier 1 and Tier 2 support and instruction, and for our AIS, our intervention instruction. It is computer-based, yes. It is.
Which FastBridge was as well.
FastBridge was as well. And it's similar in that it responds to kids. It is a little bit, the assessment will take longer. It is more thorough. But same thing, 3 times a year, universal benchmarking.
And would information from that be sent home to families similarly to how it's done with FastBridge?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
So you said that this will be just for math. What happens then with
So
reading?
far, so
Does
far,
that stay
Mike.
back at FastBridge?
So we started the discussion at the last meeting with the content specialists. The middle school content specialists were very interested. I just brought it in because I wanted them to know it was coming. And they found it to be far more useful to them in the work that they're doing with teachers, department goals, intervention support. So we are leaning towards that. On the elementary reading side, we have to have a pretty deep discussion about, so what does this assess for us, and what might we put aside and put on pause for next year? Because I don't want to be overly assessing students, and we have a lot of assessments for reading. And we also want to have a pretty robust discussion around primary assessments, because those oftentimes for our youngest learners are one-on-one. And it's an online assessment. So we have to battle with that a little bit, but it will be available to us. We just have to decide to what length we want to use it.
The only downfall, unfortunately, is they don't have a curriculum associated with it.
Yeah.
So the
For
math
reading.
has-
For reading.
For reading.
Yeah.
For math, they do, but for reading, they
For
do not.
reading, they don't. Good. Got it.
Anything else?
Which
about-
I would love
Yes.
if they did, because it sounds like it's going to be a very
Yeah.
great opportunity, so
Is that
that's
something
too
you're
bad.
working on?
I don't know if the company
They
is-
have not indicated that. Reading's a little more complicated.
Yeah.
And then the other good thing that came out of that Board of Ed CNI is that we did approve that 4th grade band lessons will begin for 4th graders next year in the next school year. So we'll have a new staff member who will be part of that, whoever that might be. So I encourage you to join us tomorrow. We're going to take a closer look at some of the data that we're looking at to see the impact of really great reading and what that's looked like over time, because we're 2.5 years, almost 3 years into that implementation. And a little deeper dive into some of the progress monitoring tools that we use for students in intervention to monitor how well they are responding to the instruction that they're getting. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Jesse?
First off, I'd like to thank the board for the support of the budget tonight. There's a lot of work that goes into vol. You see several presentations from it, but there's a lot of work from not only us up here, but everybody throughout the district. So thank you for supporting that budget. So just a quick couple capital project updates. Still doing some $15 million project. Again, majority of the work will be done over the summertime. They are doing some night work at the Peter B. And A.W. Becker fire system. Again, this is not active yet. They're setting it all up before they test it and switch it over. So there's a few pictures on the presentation we have. Over spring break, we are going to continue to do some asbestos work in 6 classrooms in the middle school. There will also be some final work on the alarm in the warehouse and the transportation department, and they will be switching over to the new system after those final tests. They will also be doing a new roof over the middle school band room, weather permitting, obviously. And I do have some bad news about the Univents replacement in the elementary school music and art rooms. Unfortunately, we do have a coil that it needs to be installed when you install the whole Univent. That is not going to be available but for this break. So we will not be able to install it over break like they originally planned to. They did confirm with me today in our capital project meeting that they will be securing those coils soon and we'll be able to do the installation over the summertime. So we're a little discouraged with that, but, you know, we'll be getting it soon and be getting it installed. Some of the other projects that we have going on is the bus lifts. If you remember, we have a small transportation capital project going on. So the bus lift have been ordered. If you remember, we ordered these lifts to, one of our lifts in one of our bays is deteriorating a little bit, and we needed to upgrade that. So we ordered them, and they should be in here early in May, and once we've received it, we'll be doing an installation of that. I did want to kind of just go over what I'm hearing with the state budget. As most of you know, we do not have a budget yet. And we are hearing some good things from our advocate groups that there is no real big discussion on school aid. They are happy where those numbers are, so that's encouraging for us. They're also still talking about some of that CTE aid, which is based on for BOCES, so that would get us some additional aid that is outdated. So there would be additional aid for schools. Also that retirement exemption, which allows extending the waiver, which allows people that are retiring to come back and work. So there is still discussion. I thought that was gonna go down, but I'm hearing there are still discussions about keeping that around, which is good. Zero emission buses is also a big discussion, as we heard last month. I'm hearing that there's probably not gonna be any movement on any pushing the kind of the deadline in this budget, but in future budgets that we will hear some possible changes in those. And also the big talk about the cell phone bell to bell, a lot of discussions around that. The biggest discussion, and I think from our state senator that came at our last meeting, there is increasing concerns around the federal funding and how some of the decisions that the administration and the federal level, some of the decisions that they're making now will have effect on the market and possibly going towards a recession, and how the recession has a large effect on the state and the ability of them to raise revenue. So that is a big concern of one of the things that they are talking about in the budget. So, you know, it's a little concerning, but we're definitely watching it closely. Again, we did get some positive things about school aid, so that is good to see, good to hear. Other than that, that's as much as I've heard around the budget. We're hoping to hear them accepting that soon. Any questions on that? I can help alleviate some things.
Go back to the cell phone bell to bell.
Yeah.
We had a great discussion in BLT also about that today. And I know that, you know, it can be, as was witnessed a few weeks ago when we were all discussing it around this table, it can be a little for kids and for parents. And our administrators are really working hard to make this a positive. We're gonna do 1 week, we're gonna try it out. There's not gonna be any, you know, stiffer penalties or anything like that. In fact, it's quite the opposite. There's gonna be a lot of discussion about the positives. What are you gonna see? Kids talking in the cafeteria and, you know, maybe they're gonna have games to play or things like that in place, and what kind of things will change. So I'm hoping that our whole community can make this a really positive week and see what we learn from it, so that if it does get imposed by the state, we're already prepared and we don't have to look into the more expensive options. So I'm just encouraging everybody to be really positive and to encourage this. We're not taking the cell phones away from the kids. We're just making them put them away, which is, to be fair, our board policy anyway.
So what week is that, Mel?
That is going to be the last week in April.
Okay.
Yep.
So for that week, it will be a bell
It will
to
be
bell.
bell to bell when you
band.
walk in the door in the morning at 7:35 until the 2:05 or 2:35, whenever you're leaving, bell. So while you're in the building, it won't be, right now, they're allowed to use them in study halls and cafeteria and the hallways. For that week, we are gonna say no cell phones from the beginning of the day to the end of the day and really focus on what positives come out of that and what data is there. And so,
I'd love to get a
Hoping.
report on that.
yes, Mr. Funk has promised that he will give us a detailed report, and he is really hoping to come back with all of these surprising positives.
Where are the kids going to put the phones?
Just in their bags, just
In their
where,
backpacks?
yep, in their backpacks, as long as they stay in there. If they're seen, it'll be the same as the policy is now, that they'll be taken down to the office and asked to call their parents, and the parents and them will choose if they will be going home or not. It's not a mandatory, it's not a suspension, it's not anything stiff. It's there to put it in their bags. So it should be a good, positive thing, and maybe show our kids that we don't need to impose anything stricter on them if they can just, have that self-control and be able to use them responsibly. So
So they're actually following the policy.
they are following the policy.
Because the current policy, Mike, it actually says the students are allowed to have their phone. It doesn't say that they can use their phone at all during the day.
Right.
It's up, they've allowed them to use them during study hall and during
Study hall
the
and
cafeteria.
cafeteria.
Outside of that, they're just now actually enforcing it for a week, leading up to the just get a taste of the possibility of however the state decides to go. So they're just following it to a T for a week.
How do the teachers react to becoming the enforcement mechanism?
I mean, everybody right now is just really hoping that it's going to be a really positive week and great conversations are going to come out of it. So,
Well, yeah, of course, but,
Yeah.
I mean, are there teachers that would, or have expressed any hesitancy about
Not that I've
being
heard
the
from.
enforcers?
no. They really have to anyway,
it
yeah,
should be,
on a daily
but-
basis, so, yep,
We all know how there's some,
yeah.
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 Good test.
Yeah, it's a good test, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it.
Good.
Yeah. And hey, when I went here in the 90s, there was no cell phones, so,
And those bags that are being used by a lot of districts are starting to use those bags that Bethlehem uses. Those things, we talked about that earlier this year. They're a little bit on the expensive side.
Yeah, it's about, it was $20 a bag, Mike.
$20 a bag.
I don't remember. It was between 20 and 30, but we estimated in the low 20,000 range to do just the high school. So it's a significant investment.
so we're trying to avoid that, so let's get behind our kids as a community and make this a positive week.
Agree.
And can I go back to your, to the buses?
Sure.
You said, I just want to make sure I understand your statement. They're not looking to change the date by which they expect us to have this completed. Is that what you meant by,
I'm hoping.
Not in this
Yes.
budget, right?
not in
yeah.
this budget?
Right, I'm hearing that they're not gonna speak to that, but
They
we're
may in
advocating.
future budgets?
Yes, that's what I'm hearing.
Okay,
anyways,
I
yes.
just wanted to make sure I understood correctly. Thank
Yep.
you very much.
I would like them to do that.
To discuss changing it?
Yeah,
Okay.
pushing it out, because it is a lot of work.
Well, it's
But,
not feasible to do for an entire state when you don't have enough. of the
yeah, I mean, we
actual
could talk
buses
about it all
to
night.
produce.
We
Well, I'm-
really could.
I mean,
You're not wrong.
they're gonna create a mandate that they can't enforce because there's literally going to not be enough product, so it seems silly to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
Real quick, is there
And like-
any update or guidance from state ed in regards to temperatures in classrooms?
I haven't heard anything new.
No update yet.
No update
Oh,
yet?
Any additional guidance? No.
Literally can't.
I think they're distracted by too many other balls in the air right now.
Yeah, I know, I'm just, because, I mean, it's approaching, right?
Yeah.
And
It is.
it- Okay.
Yep. All right. Is that it for you,
Yep,
Jesse?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Any new business items for anyone? No? Okay, looking at the old business. We talked about the student board member. Stop arm, we obviously approved the agreement tonight. I think we'll keep it on here just to see what the implementation looks like for that. Do we have a timeline yet for putting those on?
They'll have to work with their contractors.
Yeah, okay.
But they put in the contract to be determined.
Right, yeah.
But they're eager. It's not, they'll move as quickly as they can
Mm-hmm.
to get it done.
Okay.
What kind of update would you be looking for, like number of?
Timeline.
Yeah, just periodic on what the
Yeah.
timeline is,
Okay,
expected
yeah,
completion.
I can do it into my reports.
Yeah, okay. All right, there are 5 policies on tonight for first reading. So usual process, take a look at those. Any comments, send back to the policy committee, please. Matt and Jackie and others. There's no further hearings or petitions. Under upcoming activities, the big one coming up, of course, is spring recess. And then we have a bunch of dates pertaining to Board of Ed petitions, budget information, budget vote. Anything else anybody wants to mention? Okay. I'm going to ask for a motion to enter back into executive session to discuss matters pertaining to collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law and matters relating to the employment of particular person. Motion Dan, second Melanie, all in favor? Aye. And the board will be taking no further action after executive. Thank you, everybody.